people of YouTube? Welcome back to the Voting Vlogs. We're here again at TCH Houston on Westheimer. Back at it for another session. Let's get straight into it. See you guys inside. So we buy into the game for $1,000. It's a 1-3 no limit hold'em. Match the stack. In the first hand of importance, we look down at pocket tens in the cutoff. The hijack makes it 20. Obviously, we're going to 3-bet here, so we make it 50. Only the hijack calls. Heads up to a flop, which comes Jack, 9, 5, rainbow. The hijack checks. We continue down betting for $35 when bet range here. The hijack calls. Turns the 10 of clubs. It's not the worst card. Obviously, we have a set now, so we beat a lot of ace jack. But we now lose to king queen, which he might have floated with on the flop. The hijack now leads out for $90. It's a weird lead out. We have nothing to do here but call, try to fill up. The river is the 8 of spades. The hijack now just bets pot 350 into 374. It's a pretty clear-cut fold given that the 4-liner gets there. It's really unfortunate. The hijack does show a queen. Not sure what he could have had on the turn if he did have king queen, but queen's good enough here, and we're going to move on to the next one. We go ahead and add $500, make it in for $1,500. Here's some crazy action here at TCH. 25, two people call, 105, small blind all in for 700, and a snap call. And Jacks beats Kings here with the 4-liner. In this one, though, we have ace-9 of clubs and the low jack. The button straddle is on. The blinds fold, +1 limps. We go ahead and make it $35. Hijack now 3-bets to 80. The button cold calls, under the gun folds. There's a lot of dead money, and we only have to worry about the hijack to 3-bet most of the time. We don't want to play out of position multi-way, so it's a 4-bet or fold. We go for a larger sizing of 300, given both stacks are about 600 effective. The hijack now folds, and the button tank jams for 636 effective. This is probably a fold, but we put in 300. We're halfway in, and we should be live or flipping against most of his 3-bet flat jamming range, like middling and small pocket pairs. So we elect to call off, and somehow he has pocket queens here, so we get no help, no flush draw, no ace, and we're stuck in the hole early for this one, donating off to the other person. We go ahead and add on for $1,500, and we're now in this game for $3K. Hopefully we can get unstuck. In this next hand, we have king 10 of diamonds in the small blind. Under the gun makes it 15. The button calls, I call, and the big blind calls. 4 ways to flop now, which comes queen, jack, 8, rainbow. We have open-ended. We go ahead and check. The big blind now leads out for $40. Under the gun and button folds, and we have an easy call here with open-ended. Turn binks the ace of diamonds, so we have the nuts with the redraw to the flush. We go ahead and check it, looking to check raise in this spot. The big blind continues here for $65. We go ahead and check raise to 200, and the big blind has 500 effective. He tank jams. We obviously snap here. We elect to go twice with him, and he has king 10 of hearts, so we're free rolling. He ends up getting quartered because I hit the flush on the first run out. So a nice little comeback here to get some money back. Moving on, we have ace 4 of hearts in the small blind. Under the gun makes it 15. Low jack calls, hijack calls, button calls. I can sometimes 3-bet here given there's so much dead money, but I like to just flat and realize our equity. Big blind folds. And now we go multi-way to a flop, which comes ace, jack, jack, rainbow. Flop top pair, but multi-way, most likely someone has a jack. Checks to the button, who does bet $50, and we elect to just call and reevaluate a turn. Turns a 9 of clubs. We go ahead and check it, and the button now bets $300. So almost 2x pot. And we go ahead and just make the easy fold here, and the button shows jack 10 of spades. Moving right along, we look down at queen 10 offsuit on the button. The under the gun makes it $25. The +1 calls, we call, and the blinds fold. Flop comes queen, 6, 5, rainbow. We flop top pair. Under the gun, c-bets 25. The +1 folds. We have an easy call here. Turns to ace of hearts. Under the gun now checks, and we have showdown value, so no reason to do anything crazy. We check it back. River's a 9 of diamonds. Under the gun now bets $55. This is a pretty easy call, and a ace would bet turn a lot of time and continue to go for value if they were bluffing flop and they want to charge for value on the turn against a lot of queen X's. So easy call here. Under the gun shows pocket tens, and we are good. In this one, we have Jack 10 offsuit and the hijack. The button straddle is on. Small blind makes it 25. Big blind folds. We go ahead and call in the hijack. The cutoff calls and the button calls. 4 players to flop now, which comes ace 10, 5, rainbow. Small blind C bets $35. We're obviously going to call. We can probably fold here sometimes given that there's 2 players behind, but I like to call. The cutoff calls and the button folds. 3 players to the turn now, which is the 5 of hearts pairing the board. Small blind checks, we go ahead and check it. We have showdown value at this point, and the cutoff checks back. River's the king of spades, and it checks through again. We're pretty confident with our hand until the small blind shows king queen, and the cutoff has king jack. So they also had showdown value, and they got there on the river. It is what it is. But yeah, we were good on the flop, and pretty standard, I believe. Pretty quick hand here. Ace jack offsuit in the big blind. Cutoff calls. Button makes it 20. Small blind folds. We just go ahead and min click it. 3 betting to $50 just to isolate. The cutoff does fold and the button calls. Heads up to a flop, which comes ace 8 5 a rainbow. We are obviously going to c bet range here, so we c bet to 40 and the button folds. So nice little pickup here. Struggling to get anything going, and this one doesn't make it any better. Gotta include it in here for you guys because I did play it. Jack 8 of clubs under the gun. The button straddles on. Small blind limps. Big blind makes it $25. I go ahead and call. The cutoff calls. Button folds and the small blind calls. 4 players to the flop now, which comes 7, 3, 3, 2 hearts, and a spade. Small blind checks. Big blind checks, and I elect to take the betting lead here, given that the pre-flop aggressor checked, and I go for a sizing of $45. The cutoff folds, small blind folds, and the big blind calls. Turns to deuce of spades, and the big blind checks once again. They shouldn't ever have much of this board. They're going to have overpairs a lot of time, and even then, they're going to have a lot of ace king, ace queen, hands like that. So I go for a very polarizing bet of $250, representing a lot of ace 3 or sevens, and even pocket pairs. The big blind tanks before making the call. The river's at 8 of diamonds. The big blind checks, and we just have showdown value here when we make our 8, so there's no point in bluffing. We beat all the ace kings that he could have been floating with. Obviously, he's probably not going to have that at this point after calling the turn when I polarize overbet. So we go ahead and check, and the big blind has pocket aces. So yeah, poorly played by us. No reason to go crazy there with no equity. Yeah, just completely getting out of line, and yeah, disappointed myself for this one. We now have a much longer way to climb back now. This one we have ace 3 of clubs under the gun. The button straddle is on. Small blind limps. Big blind makes it 30. We go ahead and call. Hijack, button, and small blind all call. 5 players to a flop now, which comes queen, 6, 3, 2 spades. Small blind checks, big blind checks. We do have bottom pair, and we're going to go ahead and try to take the betting lead once again. We don't have to go too big. So we go for a sizing of $60, and luckily all players fold. So nice little pick me up here. It's deja vu once again. We look down at ace 3 of clubs. Once again in the big blind. The button straddle's on. We go ahead and open for $20, and only the low jack calls. Heads up to flop now, which comes jack 7 5 rainbow. We do have backdoor clubs, but we didn't connect with anything on this board, so we just go ahead and check, and the low jack checks back. Turns to deuce of clubs, so now I have a gutter ball with the flush draw, so we have some equity so we can bet. We bet $25, and the low jack folds. Go ahead and add on 1,000 more, so we're in for 4K. We want to be able to cover the table and get our losses back. And in this next one, you have jack 7 of spades on the button straddle. Small blind limps. Under the gun makes it $15, basically a min click. The +2 low jack, hijack all calls, so I like to call as well, and the small blind calls. Flop comes jack 9 8, 2 diamonds. We flop top pair with the gutter ball, and it checks to the hijack who just rips $200. So pretty easy fold here. Not much to do. And then the next one, we have ace king offsuit on the button straddle. Big blind under the gun, +2 low jack, all limp to 6, and we go ahead and make it $55. Don't want all these limpers coming in for cheap or getting too good of a price to call, and all of them fold, so a bit of nice dead money to take down without seeing a flop. Continuing right along, we have ace jack offsuit in the under the gun +2. Under the gun opens for $18. The plus one makes it 45. Don't think we need a 4-bet here, so we just elect to call. You can sometimes fold his hand, but ace jack off, obviously a very strong hand. The hijack now jams $300 to $400 effective, and we all end up folding, and the hijack shows pocket nines. So yeah, just a little bit more of a taste here of what you're gonna get at TCH here in Houston. In this next one, we have pocket threes on the button straddle. The small blind makes it 15. The big blind, low jack, hijack, and myself call. 5 players to the flop, which comes 9, 8, 3, rainbow. We flop bottom set. Checks to the low jack, who bets $15. The hijack now makes it $45. And I would have made it $60 if the hijack flatted, but I want to isolate here multi-way, so I go ahead and make it 150 with hijack being about $350 behind. The low jack folds, and hijack somehow folds 9-8 here, and the low jack said he had jack 10, so these guys just apparently have my number today, and hopefully we can climb back. This is just part 1 of this session. This is a 12-hour session. Don't want this vlog to be too long, so I'm gonna cut this here, and you guys are gonna have to see if I come back on the next one after dumping in this first part of the vlog. See you guys on the next one. Peace.